Everybody get up, it's time to slam now.
Come on and slam, and welcome to the jam. Come on and slam, if you wanna jam.
When a bear attacks a human, they're euthanized due to the severity of the incident. A bear that attacks a human will begin to see humans as a food source and return to that source of food over and over. When a man attacks a woman, she is questioned, doubted, judged, asked a series of questions, including but not limited to what was she wearing? What was she doing out so late? Is she sure she said no? And he too will return to that source of food over and over again. It is no wonder a woman would choose a 900-pound beast to play survival with in the middle of the woods, rather be towered over by an 8-foot giant than a 6-foot coward, rather be ripped apart by 4-inch claws than bare hands. Should a bear consume your flesh, you know it isn't personal. It's not because your dress was too short or dinner wasn't ready on time, because you wouldn't stop laughing or you simply said no. It will not kidnap you, lock you in a basement, torture and rape you like Leonard Lake. Will not strangle you in the middle of the woods like Gary Ridgway. Will not pretend to love you, then drug you to have you violated. It is just because it's in their nature. The most common reasons for bears to attack are when they are threatened, hungry, or protecting their young. They too are preyed upon by predatory men. The nature of man has always been to dominate. Yet still, some men will argue till their face turns blue, trying to gain trust from you, hide their claws and their compliments, and their canines behind their tongue, make you think they are the safety option. In America, there's approximately one fatal black bear attack per year. The odds of being attacked by a bear at Yellowstone National Park is 1 in 2.1 million, while 1 out of every 3 women have experienced violence against them. In 2022, almost 500,000 women that we know of were raped or sexually assaulted in the US, and 90% of adult rape victims are female. And what is particularly common is when it comes to sexual assault or murder, many victims know their assailants. Somehow, a bear hug be safer than a hug from a man you know. Could have called them father, uncle, or brother. Could have woke beside a lover undercover, meaning they shared hellos, how are yous, and even I love yous, shared laughs, hugs, space, memories, and there was no warning of the violence waiting for them. No growls or roars or heavy steps. No rustling in the leaves, just heavy breaths, ravaged by a familiar face, preyed upon while praying, playing. So we're walking home from work or school. Sometimes survival of the fittest is just making it home without encountering Ted Bundy. Men hunting fresh flesh and warm bodies, and most times they don't even need a weapon, just bare hands. Most people think the words carpet and rug are interchangeable. The truth is there's a difference. A rug covers an area in a room. A carpet spans from wall to wall, leaving no trace of the floor underneath. The world's largest rug is made of 38 tons of cotton and wool. So 1,200 weavers to construct consist of 2.2 billion individual hand-tied knots and covers 60,600 square feet. But it is still not big enough to cover the area of atrocities America is involved in. Right now, Gaza, Sudan, the Congo, and humanity are being swept under the rug. Colored people conflicts covered up to look like dust bunnies and debris. The truth is too big to be covered up. Stains too significant to scrub, too many loose ends to be cut. She won't go easy. in which case they will lay their carpet from border to border. Soon enough, the world will be covered in carpet for imperialists to walk all over. If we're not careful, we will all get tangled in their thread of lies, be made into shag carpets to cushion the suffering, so as not to get blood on their feet and turn them into red bottoms, or splinters in their heels from the bones they hide. There will be no trace of the floor made of the people they walk over, sweeping away enslaved histories, human rights, and genocides. Carpet-bound bodies swept under the rug in the rubble they were buried in. They must think it's a magic carpet, that once under the rug, we forget the history they try to whitewash. How many genocides fit under the fabric of this nation? How many bodies fit under the rug? Tripping over her own lies, America is a carpet cleaner, a Stanley steamer. She will vacuum every fiber of our existence right out of history. Carpets can hold 4 times its weight in dirt, which means they can cover up to 4 times the trauma, can hide 4 times the tragic in its history, souls trapped in the textiles, walked over with muddied shoes of guilt. And no matter how much of a Dyson or abyssal America tries to be, she will never get the bloodstains out of her rugs, no matter the amount she scrubs or a stain remover she applies, no matter the amount she tries to steam out the screams and the cries, no matter the amount of time she tries to beat the murder out of it. There will always be a stench of her barbaric history trapped in the fiber of her being. 1, 2, 3, ready or not, here they come. America's been playing hide and seek for centuries. It's become an expert at hiding things, bursting into homes, snatching loved ones, making them disappear. You're it. When it's your turn to become the seeker, be sure to check the detention centers, the prisons, the jails. When all else fails, grab a shovel. Check the backyards of the facilities. They're clever like that. Hide them in places they think we won't look. Once, they hid hundreds of indigenous children in unmarked graves in the name of civilization. Sometimes, they hide them in other countries, under the beds of dictators and blankets of lies. In the closets of private prison wallets, they used to hide them in trees until they figured out how to hide bodies under highways and lakes with ease. They can hide anything, anywhere, like racism in policies, white supremacy in laws, packaging evils as God-given rights. Central Park has 42 million visitors a year and not one mention of Seneca Village, how they can burn Black bodies, Black cities, and still keep it a secret. They don't want you to find the hands they throw bombs with because they don't want the bombs thrown at their glass houses. But they don't care for seekers looking for facts. They do most of their hiding in plain sight, making it harder for you to find the light. You won't find it in books. You will find it in bones, in dirt, in bloodlines. Sleep with both eyes open. Stay ready. They don't always count to 10, and they are always peeking, bending rules, breaking backs. When America plays the seeker, warn your neighbors, caution your loved ones. There's nowhere to hide. Pick up your weapons. They will stop at no 1, 2, 3. Ready or not, they are coming.
The counting men are coming. Can you hear them counting down? Don't be caught being different now. Closing books and closing schools, closing minds with their mindless rules. Data access giving ways to paywalls, pitfalls, recalls, AI footfalls. Which billionaire gives you access to the internet these days? Good channels and bad channels become pre-chewed news for baby birds, regurgitated into eager mouth, fighting to be first to taste the tang of truth, fabricated in the fires of the fall, because it's over, y'all. Crawling from the crater comes now. All compassion obliterated on impact. Nobody's intact. The temple got disintegrated while we masturbated. We've been saturated with endless piles of garbage time. Podcasts broadcasting real crime in real time, a million megabits of bullshit streaming in. You can't wave 1984 at people who haven't read it. They're busy shorting the American dream, betting hard on the crash, cutting you off in their luxury SUVs because it's great TV going down. We like it when the funny man makes it funny, catchphrases and catchy tunes, balloons, caricatures of the statesmen of many nations, sold out for 30 pieces of silver on the dollar, 3/5 of the way to redemption, if that, because maybe it's just negative. Human nature written in spaghetti code, shovelware, and nobody cares. Delivering meals to the helpless now seems heartless. And they only knew she was gone when she didn't come in for work. Who's going to man the till while fingers probe, looking for nickels to be counted while we're dancing down? Because it's time. We're dead.
If a poem were a script, would synapses fire with alacrity upon recitation? The audience hanging on every word, on every emotion? Would a line break, signal a cut in the action? Would there be multiple takes? Is there an intimacy coordinator on the set of this piece? Will the surrounding environment morph, shape-shifting from the author's delivery? Would there be dramatic pauses? Filler scenes to pad the runtime? Is the speaker free-falling off of a cliff, unsure of the landing, epic stunts, high-octane thrills, or just the sanctity of character, narrative, and story? Are all the work's ingredients in service of provocation? Would there be romance, the kind that throbs and pulsates between concussive heartbeats? Would there be budgetary constraints and pressure from the studio as editors omit or truncate parts of this piece to suit their agendas? Is there a political bent? For as the story unfurls and the jigsaw combines in lockstep with uncertainty, an unsettled audience remains transfixed, irises swell, pupils dilate, bodies convulse and thrust, and theater seats are clutched by sweaty palms. In the here and now, stars are born.
It is not lost on me. They will use a black body to incubate a baby barely able to make it. It is no different than stealing Henrietta's cells to birth a cure long after her death. Surprise. It's a miracle. See how long we delayed a death? Oh,
By our words appeared like
sorry. See how long we delayed the death and produced a life. How we raised Lazarus from the dead. But even Mary was alive when she birthed Jesus, so they are not playing God, they are just playing games. And the white woman praises them, not realizing that the black woman is the prototype. They have no interest in birthing black babies, so who do you think the trial run is for? They will lobotomize you into breeding grounds, birthplace plantations. You may call it conspiracy, but I call it a conclusion. Consequences where capitalism meets Christianity and confuse the product with God because both had you on your knees. Pretending hope and faith are the same, but the black body screams, give us as free, even in death, and your God says, make heaven of this hospital. Holy be these hands, blessed be our bloodlust, neonatal necromancy, for the body be the cross, and the baby be the sacrifice for our sins, and the black woman never has a choice other than death. How dare you perform an autopsy and call it a birth? as if dissection and C-section are the same, taking from our bodies and call it a miracle. I guess that's why they leave our bodies holy, but not holy, desecrated and destroyed. How we abort the mission and they say, don't abort the baby. Life was never hers to give, just theirs to take, playing God and playing games in our face.
Before I met you, my skin would shudder, sweating from the shame and anxiety I felt. My breath was labored with fear, even as my feet tottered, struggling to deal with shadows. Now you are the beginning and the end of my intensity. Taking away my need to be like fireflies, you lead me to blend and glow with the illustrious moon and stars. O Queen, I have become the echo of thy song, the lute that resonates your celestial magic. How sublime it is to live in your intimate embrace, to let go of this fleeting world. My heart is in this sweet agony of yearning, the tenderness of an enchanting gaze that makes my core feverish and inebriate. Whenever you speak to me, the cool breeze whispers our secrets. The trees dance, waves roll like many thunder, even as stones rejoice at the moonlit beauty of your charismatic smile. Deep down in the sweetness of the soul, we lie as your love caresses my feet. I let go of past traumas as despair and grief flies like butterflies, merging with heavenly entities. It is an autumnal twilight, and the stars blanket us with their luster, increasing the joy in my heart as we embody the stillness of trees and foliage. Heaviness of night vanishes even as constellations kiss our cheeks in intimate embrace. Beloved, I am but your shadow, you my son, the very pulse of being, the strand and the sitar of symphonies, invoking a love that flows through me, both human and divine. I am but your whisper dressed in fire, for we are one. Your cadences beat within in a kaleidoscope of myriad forms. Your songbirds sing arias to my soul as we become one in what remains nothing but an unspoken silence of your lyrical dance of being. Now thy flute of love stirs in my emotions, even as the spirit waltzes and our feet move in tempo to the delight of your bewildering tango. I swoon in ecstasy to a plethora of supernal joy.
I'm a quivering question mark in the dark, holding my carbon knees. Baby cooing in the crib beside me. My wife is rooted 10 toes deep down in this earth, trying to pacify us both. The children are all starry night adrift through gumdrop dreams. I've tucked in, kissed, tried to scrub the day from this skin. The light clocked out hours ago. Now I'm alone in this full house, shuffling my deck of prayer cards, looking for a trap door into heaven. Out this trap that I'm living, bite my tongue till I taste enamel. Forgive me. And my rosy, cheeky grin, shivering. Heaven, your cold breeze is starting to feel like the cold shoulder. No bronze in my brimstone complexion, can't polish my feet in fire. It just left me with charred souls. If you once, I'll show you how Adam dances in my jugular these nights. I think God just might have made me to make the rest of y'all not feel so goofy. Yet I still got that dog in me, growling at the stars. Pluto is closer than you think, a stupid hound being snoopy around God's closet, scared about how many skeletons might be in there. Do you ever wonder, dog, why we're here? Like maybe God hit pause on all our allergy alerts, coughing up confidential conversations. Yeshua, I'm sorry for talking about your girl that way. I've been slumming it too. Who knew divinity could blush so cute? If you still got any ringside wedding ring seats left, sign me up for 1,000. And I will mail a river of souls to meet you, a bushel of Eve-bitten apples. Hey, it was my fault line. She tripped on and land-minded my own business. My knees don't bend easy. Maybe heaven only welcomes in spirits, and I've got a high iron count in my blood work. I might be a little too solid. Matter of fact for your kingdom, but if heaven's spine ever splinters, call me. Yeah. Yeah, I said if heaven ever needs a backup backbone, just call.
The ghetto can be so quiet some nights, drowned out in sirens, setting fire to the brick of buildings with their light, suffocating the rights they violate inside of those there to witness. Screaming voices seem to find their barriers in the holding back of mourning mothers. The white sheet laid over the deceased body feels just like a Klansman's claim. Lines have been crossed, drawn this way before. The officer still streaming smoke out the pistol, barely raised an eyebrow, remorseless and standing as the cavalry walled off the crowd's disapproval. But the news willed silence, along with the radio, to a no legend beyond a neighborhood leak. Asphalt claiming the bodily fluid. Not every name makes the face of the papers. The press we know is our cheeks bone to the ground. Most of the justifiable homicides filed, every bite of the bullet identified by our teeth and fingerprints. Yet the trigger will get the blame. The guilty charges found in the arraignment, this time the arrangement of weapons, the slip in an instant that can make a hand mistake a loaded gun for a fully charged taser. They said weight never calculated, never actually played a factor. Fact is, your shield never tilted a blindfolded scale, showing us the way you handle your authority, priority over reason to kill. I guess when it comes to black lives, you black out. Your targets have always been a black image to cast out, a shadow of what it means to be a civilian. The tracks of your shoes are a bathroom of duty, the integrity of being a force, the police, the department overseeing to the capture and keep of the average human being, writ in your Miranda, your authorization of rights upon approach, while standing over and looking down a barrel, the tunnel of your guilty vision can't be my back exposed in view of my running away that threatens your safety. Bull in your eyes, reminding of your hunting, calling for your pellets to charge downrange. Escape is not an option, nor is surviving. We are responsible for our actions, but apparently you are not. What is the procedure for taking a life when you have a back running away from you? The training will be yours to own. The sorrow will be ours. Black and gunned down, killed on a birthday, and what's left to celebrate is now a dedication of tomorrow's promise, boxed inside a memorial, dressed in flowers, pretty enough to present as a gift to God, and still no answer, no justice, just a moment of silence. The ghetto can be so quiet some nights.
Before we go any further, let's make something clear. Being from Detroit isn't the same as being from Michigan. Detroit and Michigan are not the same, like Bridgeport in Connecticut, or Harlem in Manhattan, or Baltimore in Maryland. Michigan is blue and maize. Detroit is red beans and rice. Michigan is Superior, Huron, Erie, and Ontario. Detroit is Weber, Jawan, Jalen, and Jimmy. Michigan shook hands with the commissioner. Detroit never got drafted. There's an 8-mile psychological borderline between Michigan and Detroit. It's the point of demarcation between rabid and fatal attraction and a culinary culture born out of necessity, eating everything Massa turned his rooter up to and gave his tutor to kiss. And in order to survive, we told ourselves no matter the trauma, it tastes like chicken. Michigan is like a virgin daiquiri. Detroit is dark liquor. They are different. Only one is built tough. Only one has a Motor City assembly line. Only one really walked with Motown as a first-person account disciple. I don't know any poets from Michigan. I do know a poet from Detroit, Omari Barksdale, a dope-ass poet, who once wrote a poem on what was supposed to be his deathbed. And it was such a badass poem, Death said to him, "I'm sorry, Omari. I wasn't familiar with your pen. Your immaculate collection of words. I thought you were from Michigan, but everything you spit was pure Detroit." And Omari caught a lucky break because the mortality rate in Detroit is higher than in Michigan. I don't know why the hell I'm writing about Michigan or Detroit. I'm not even from the Midwest. I'm from the other side of the tracks. The side with track marks, the side with EBT cards and WIC checks, the side where there's no Walt Whitman singing America. There's only Omari doing a poem, a letter to white America from his black ass. And that's got to be the most Detroit thing ever.
When pigs fly. Sir Mortimer Trotter and his daughter went for a ride in a helicopter. She held her pink kerchief over her snout and fought the urge to chicken out. He brought some goggles he had found, but they wouldn't roll the windows down. So he watched the buildings passing by and felt at home up in the sky. Always something, never dull. He found this day possible. Personal pachyderms compacted peanuts capable of processing these problematic memories randomly accessed. To make an array, attach trunk to mother tail and send to search for water. Dust jacket not included. Ekphrastic for a missing image. Says the lamp to the chair, "You're shaped like a shoe." The chair, shaped like a shoe, says, "No, I'm a submarine." Says the lamp to the chair, "It's so quiet in here with only us." The chair that looks like a shoe says, "I can't hear you over the typewriter. Ask again later." Says the lamp to the chair, "I don't feel like you're taking me seriously." The chair someone made to look like a shoe says, "Your pink is too wild. Your feathers frighten me." Says the pterodactyl to no one in particular, "I don't have feathers. I'm not happy about it." Says the lamp to the pterodactyl, "Are those dogs wearing boots?" The pterodactyl is just a child with its arms outstretched. Does not respond. "Sunbursts not included," says the salesperson, grabbing it back away. Says the lovely lady in the tiara, "I sailed on still waters under a wicked moon." She whispers into her whiskey glass, "I was not afraid of drifting." Says the lamp, "There are fractals inside fractals on familiar furniture here." Says the seesaw, "My riders have gone missing." Peter Piper pipes in, "My piss pot planter peas most pleasantly." Gordon doesn't say a goddamn thing because he's a pumpkin.
Oh, the rent is due. The rent is due. It casts a pall upon the sepia-colored hue. For dilapidated buildings tower, and men, women, and children glower, their depressed fates sealed under locked cupboards where filth collects. Do we elect another pointless figurehead, Oligarchy was never meant to work. It's antiquated, like an age-old bitter IPA that scorches the tongue, leaving track marks in its wake. These miscreants bake in the sun, unable to find shady tree coverings. Tenement structures offer no asylum as malcontented maggots fester in dimly lit corners. Mayoral candidates strut and posture without purpose, sloganing their way by way of hubris in each election cycle, a genuine trifle. Is this the age of Bohemia, the one that playwright Jonathan Larson chronicled? Lifestyles of the poor and infamous? A good Charlotte would sing in an alt reality, consistent and obtrusive survival modes become beastly as imagination wanes. Motivation petrifies as death grips. Now, posthumous. Ply my eyes open, and do I see a blocked third eye that can't evade retinal scans? Meticulous meditation multiplies consciousness, a last refuge for a coddled civilization.
The first day at a new school, I didn't want to get out of bed. I dreaded that awful alarm. It is then I learned of courage, of Dorothy Counts, Ruby Bridges, of little black girls who brave bigots for me to get here. Girls who pack lunches and attitude because schools threatened to poison their food. And here I was, deciding between pizza day and pillows. Ungrateful. Wrapped in bed sheets, begging, please don't make me. Ironic. They face men in white sheets begging, please don't make me. Difference between sleepy and segregation is uncanny. We were both unwilling to open our eyes. And I think of black girls who close their eyes to take a breath, to take a step and break a barrier, carry her legacy beyond the history books. If roles reverse, I can't promise I'd do the same. I'd probably take off running, play hooky. I'm a rookie when it comes to this activist thing.
It's sad I've memorized war before I've learned warmth. Kept a kill count of conversations where conversations came with caution tape. Every smile felt like a strategy, soft shell concealing sharp intent, and behind every open door, a decoy draped itself in welcome, leaving me not trusting entrances without escape routes. I didn't believe in hellos unless they came with a hostage clause. I surveyed life, marked exits in eye contact, reading body language like booby traps buried in open fields full of landmines, just waiting for my foot to touch down so they could blow holes through my beliefs. I built myself into a bunker, called it being smart, but paranoia wears at your fingertips when you've mistaken safety for control. Turns out I wasn't dodging bullets. I was designing them, engraving names into brass casings with hands still too stubborn to let go. I treated love like a tactical drill no one could pass. Then got mad when no one wanted to inhale me deep enough to stay, cause I wore caution like a cologne. Misread my own warning labels, treated red flags like riddles, thought pain was poetic, so I kept punctuating peace with problems I planted. Hell, I mastered detachment same way some master demolition, pressing buttons just to watch connections collapse from a safe distance. And while I was staging ambushes in name and name of protection, I realized I was never in someone else's crosshairs. My aim was trained at my own reflection. Even mirrors stopped flinching. They knew I'd reload before I'd ever forgive, knew I'd kept full clips of things never said out loud, just fired through tone, through cold shoulders, through exits made mid-sentence. Healing? What's that? A foreign language I never translated, only learned to mimic fluently when I felt someone watching? My name was carved on side of every bullet I called fate, believing I was cursed when really I just kept choosing the trigger over the truth. I was my own ballistics report, where trajectory traced back to bruised beliefs that love meant leaving before someone else could. I finally faced the fact I wasn't the target. I've been carrying the gun so long, it started feeling like an extension of me. And it's hard to let go of what's been holding you together and tearing you apart all at the same time.
No Farewell, a tribute to the Magus Gustav Sallas. On this ceaseless wheel of eternal time, we come, dance with love like a cosmic actor, then we leave. Our legacy may include numerous gifts and talents, many merits and creative genius still waiting to unfold. Yet in this mystery, sometimes difficult to comprehend, the master calls and we must go, however unpleasant the circumstances. Who can know the ways of paradise? Gustav Sallas was gifted with words, articulated the wisdom of a Persian magus. He excelled in the ability to invoke 100 virtues, using his lipped eloquence in such a way as to inspire and elevate the joys of numerous souls. Cheerful, upbeat, light-hearted, yet tough in his meaningful swipe, those alive to greed and ego, yet dead to sympathy, equity, and concern for those in pain, the oppressed, and the downtrodden. Some say he was blessed with empathy, soulful self-giving, and the ability to convey significant messages of love in astonishing ways. He championed and was passionate about justice, the way a loving mom admonishes a child because of a magnanimous heart endowed with the sweetest possible love. Although we may weep now that he's gone, he's neither dead nor sleeping. On the Elysian wings of love, he travels to the soul's sacred bliss of an illustrious realm within. No farewell, for if you listen closely, you will hear his voice in the songbearer's melodies and the bouquets of flowers, paying homage to his legacy of bars and lyrics. Moon and stars will sparkle like he did in the power of his oratory, tantalizing poet friends and avid listeners alike, like a flowing river, like a gushing stream. I still hear his clarion call to integrity, even as love welcomes him to the golden shows of the unknowable. Let us listen to the hummingbirds as they recite psalms for his generosity, say how amiable he was. Swans will waltz to his poise and charisma, for his vibrancy affected many. His zest nothing but love's conduit to express itself in all its shining glory. Let the fragrant jasmines rejoice, sunflowers unfurl to a weeping, carrying our tears to the New Jerusalem. For flowers too sing ballads of his light, even as those who listen to his enthralling cadences were wrapped into collabs of buoyant delights. Do not moan, for we are all children of light, and will joyfully awaken our regal chambers when our turn arrives, a boon from the Master's blessings. Let us be as exemplary as he was, a tireless drum major for poetry and goodness, sharing a kindness that reflected a benchmark for inspiration, benevolence, and love. Listen while the bugles blow on the trumpet's call, and know that in time, dear one shedding tears will be comforted. Dance with shooting stars, carry the glories of love to Jerusalem, give praise and adulation for the majestic grandeur of heaven. Although we may evoke the soulfulness and charm with poignant funeral songs and speeches, lament the loss of a dear brother friend, the beloved has brought grace and mercy to his soul, born out of a spirit of light and struggle, of resilience and fortitude, generosity and exuberance. No farewell, for even as the sun sets only to rise again at daybreak, even as the luminosity of moonbeams glisten in the darkness, and the nightingales sing upon another virgin moon, so too he has risen, chanting hallelujah to the love eternal. And in the breath of the breeze, we will feel his spirit, for the wind has carried his enlightening insights, his joys and sorrows, his cheerful yesterdays, and the exaltations of his tomorrows, to place them all at the feet of our effulgent majesty. And now his spirit is sanctified. Minstrels play joyfully on harps as cherubims and seraphims chant the glories of his alluringly magical and magnetic persona. Heaven smiles, gleaming with luster, as the Magus arrives at the gates of serenity and supernal beauty. Sail away, sail away, sail away to freedom. Sail away, sail away home, sail away now, make us to freedom. Lantern Carrier, thank you.
Harsh enough? Well, starch those cuffs. I sort of like their sofas. I like their cars and stuff. If you turn them in by lunchtime, you can grab their favorite chair. They'll be cleared out by 11, then they'll just be cluttering up the jail. Repudiating humanism, it's a mechanistic age, with compulsory church attendance, public prayers now all the rage. Everyone wears their AI watchers. Hey, don't leave home without it, Nacho. Even at bedtime, be no more a whisperer. You better shout about it. Keep your batteries all charged up. Yeah, it's only misdemeanor, but don't doubt it. If you're caught without it, oh my dear, you'll learn just what it is when your ears and fingertips will surely feel the burn. And when your street block captain checks your record out online, and if you watch refuse to shine, you'll be emailed one big old hefty fine. No more lawn boys at the neighbor's gardening done by white folks for prison labor. All those teachers and professors, no more highfalutin men of letters. No more colleges or universities. They no more think there are betters. We emptied them all. We ain't got no more need. The doctors all work for insurance. So if you're poor, you'll need endurance. The whole thing runs on greed. I turned in all my neighbors. They were a suspicious lot. And when they left, we rounded up all the things they bought. We got great employment surges, centered, though, in a few selected churches. Everyone must sign up for compulsory attendance. No more private morality. You'll never more be friendless. And when the churchy state rightward lurches, you'll see attendance kept at churches. And when the church enforcers at the door hand out the new commandments, you better hope he signs your churchy list attendance. So many hours of prayer each day, so you better get your card stamped by a neighbor anyway. And then you have to buy the leader's picture. It's mandatory now, or else you'll get a lecture. They'll be downloading your prayer history. How fervent are your studies of the latest revision of the sacred Trumptatious mysteries? After they rounded up the brown ones and the media political clown ones, the Dems were next, then the rhinos were hex. Into the gulags, the proud, profound ones may just have their collars stretched. Those college professors were gathered and stand before the state confessors. Each classroom has its Bible belt, and should you without your homework be caught, unless you offer a hefty bribe, you won't go safely back to your tribe. Schools now renounce formal learning. Didn't you smell all those books be burning? Not much left for the discerning student, so when carrying books for study, that isn't prudent. Best to be an athlete now. All those art and music classes are long lost over, boy and how. Idiocracy is the new ideal. No more transgender surgery. That was never real. No more punishment for perjury. No more stool pigeons with a big reveal. All the January 6th prisoners have been knighted. And now the choral horror hoodlums are delighted. And next year, they'll climb the dome just to remind us all that Donnie's home.
Love sometimes does not have enough blood and breath. She paid her debt and harmonic ghosts stopped their song in mid-track. She let them dissolve. A frequency She never meant to tune out. He round earth revolver, clock cleaner, tried to forget her. The way her voice crackled through him, some signals never fade. They live in hollow ribcage reverb, silent vibration shaking vinyl vertebrae. We watched him press his pain into wax, after wax reckoning, each groove a confession, every scratch a prayer. The black tar plastic only plays a liar's song, tells him the past can be erased, but it only ever scratches back, skips back to the same broken chorus until the 33s of his years held the needle down like a whispered secret and let it spin. The angels found him first, face down in the hiss of an empty air, clutching mixtape in hand, magnetic ribbon unraveled. From all the times he tried to rewind, we crated him beneath the radio tower, where transmission lines hum lullabies for the disconnected. Wind that carries the scent of old PBR-stained speakers and the weight of every word that never made it through the static and cigarette smoke. The town whispers. They don't know that she wears his silence like headphones. Her pulse on repeat carries the echo of every missed call. She played him in fragments, warped and slow, as if the distillation could erase the way his hands once cupped her voice and called her sacred. But some frequencies never leave. They just learn to live in white noise between breaths. One last track, one last breath. The speakers cradled her like a promise keeper. We laid her beside him for the long play, where the tower hums in the language of lost signals. If you listen close, you can still hear the angels singing. A hymn for the unheard, a broadcast to the ruin of us. Some signals don't fade. They just go quiet. But listen, the dial is still turning. A child lifts the needle, clears the dust, plays the record backwards this time. Ghosts rise, platinum echoes and cheers, lessons are main lines. The tower doesn't just hum for the dead, it broadcasts to the living, the now, the next hands. Don't repress pain back into wax. They spin new tracks, carve out grooves that don't skip, write hymns that don't dissolve. Some signals don't fade, y'all. They just wait for someone to turn up the volume.
Ever hear someone say they're embarrassed by the way their city showed up? Well, what about your country? The whole damn nation in which you reside. I'm asking for a friend, but I'm speaking because I have been fighting myself from allowing these words to free themselves. My voice box been chest like the treasure in the sea. It's sickening how mischievous these politicians are. Crazy how criminality runs the veins of this country like gang violence in Black communities. The tolerance we have for their representation is blasphemous to the way we annihilate each other. When an army of white men can storm the Capitol and be pardoned by a president who sent them to the White House in the first place. Yet a crowd of protesters with voices as weapons who've taken to the streets in a peaceful protest will be unethically gassed and pepper sprayed. The irony of a shield having freedom of speech. To boldly state they will kill some or all graveyard dead, and a senator who'd speak against the wrongful use of this authority will find himself jailed for contempt. This country has been bleeding internally for decades. bloated by the greed of its worldly consumption, and they'd still starve the ears from the tongue's voice hungered. They'd rather watch and see the weak die amongst us. Wellness is for the wealthy, is all I hear when a hat says, "Make America great again." This stolen land in the hand of grave robbers, whitewashed truths and artifacts like criminal evidence. Death finds politicians, Death finds political leaders residing in other nations who oppose these decisions. We incarcerate constituents on this governed continent under false pretenses to maintain manipulation. It's true what they say. Dead men tell no tales. But if you listen, you can hear the gospel from their graves under the misdirection of gossip. It's a shame how stardom we happily are, how grateful to be we are blinded by fame. But America fancies in keeping us distracted. The magic of spellcasting is spoke in our language. Say something out loud enough, you can trick your viewing audience through the vibrations. And we're spectating a leadership overwhelmed by scoundrels. And when they quiet, it ain't hard to hear. Their silence speak in volumes.
Poets,
Poets,
put
on,
earth,
to,
speak internal conflicts into external catharsis, conquer damage, lay waste to torment.
Maya Angelou silenced herself. Almost 5 years, put her voice in a cage and didn't let it sing.
Poets,
Poets,
put
on,
earth,
to,
speak wounds never cauterized, gut punch, hidden shackles in the rib cage.
Zora Neale Hurston said, "There is no agony like bearing an untold story inside you."
Sheer tonnage, push through unrelenting pain, unleash wildebeest.
Poets,
Poets,
put
on
earth,
to
speak in a progressive way that will one day make acronyms great again.
make mincemeat of gatekeepers, roam authorities' back alleys.
Speak truth and dare to face consequences.
Speak evocative artisan credos, illuminate different tongues.
Speak the people's language, the language of your people.
Speak no volume control, spit blood like crime scene spatter, impound division.
Poets,
Poets,
put
on
earth,
to
speak for those who can't.
speak teary-eyed, pumping, oxygenated heart.
Speak against genocide, injustice, and oppression.
Speak actionable protestations.
Speak family, relationships,
And starfish.
how parts of your soul get taken, forcing you to regenerate.
Speak sanctuary.
Speak.
Hey. Speak healing.
Speak recovery, joy, and kindness.
Speak ultimate deliverance.
Poets,
Poets,
put
on
earth,
to
speak a better world into existence.
speak the words of Audre Lorde.
And the Wu-Tang Clan.
Your silence will not
Protect your
your
neck.
neck.
I was never the early bird, but the invader worm in the apple of your eye. That's how I thought I became to be defined, how I came to be defined. My mother's ancient doctor, who just was an MD back in the day, when I was about to be dropped vaginally, dropped pearls of wisdom for his time. When she implored him the process to hurry, to this his reply was, when the apple is ripe, it will fall from the tree. His cliches were received as rotten apples and oranges to this overly ripe, filled with baby, impatient girl of 18 who liked to eat much more than these offerings. An apple a day did not keep the doctor away. Be careful of what is contained inside as we search for knowledge. Gift to teacher, I read somewhere that the skin of the apple is where most of the pesticide resides, so it is best to peel before consumption and to avoid the seeds which contain arsenic. This apple can no longer be considered a healthy snack. Did the baby move the pen writing from the inside out of her trunk? Did she ever imagine being immortalized through the poetry of her progeny? She did confess to me that I was a difficult baby and cried continuously, interrupted her sleep even at my arrival at 4 a.m. Today, insomnia woke me out of my bed to write this poem, symbolically warning of danger, daring her to target practice apple balanced precariously upon her daughter's swivel head. Past. A revelation about my dark past. It smelled like vomit and stale cigarettes and looked like a dirty ashtray filled with regrets next to a tear-stained bar glass life. No amount of showering will ever make it clean. Present, my current situation is filled with multicolored fluffy pillows and warm dog cuddled in blankets. Binged Prime Video, gobbled up classics with sweet scented candles and coffee. Fear is the root of the rotted family tree that prevents me from making any real connection with another human. Courage is when I grab, pull, and twist fear into a crumbling mass collapsed at my feet and proceed without looking back on my ancestral path. Truth is like trying to grab the brass ring at the carousel that was not there. Details embellished for the enrichment of the story, tailored to fit the storyteller, and gets muddled over time. Lies are millions and multiply daily like undiscovered galaxies are believed they derive from pure evil, but I know they were born from the failed human experiment. Defiance is when my dog looks at me in the eye after giving a command and does something else. Obedience on those rare occasions when my dog listens and obeys a command, she gets a reward. Healing is the 24/7 state of my unforgiving, bloody heart gushing over past loves and making a fucking mess out of anything it touches, knowing the whole time all it had to do to get back to there is to say no place like home and click its ruby heels together 3 times. But when home is toxic, 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 it must go to AA, NA, and Codependent Anonymous. Pain is knowing you do not have much time left to fix what you have broken.
Morning is overrated, yet reliable in its consistency. It spews as water from a broken hydrant, creating an oasis steep in sorrow. Nothing can prepare us for the sordidness of this phase. Tears flooding in staccato anguish, reaching crescendo to a symphony of inconsolable liner notes, meant to cover us with explicable reasoning, to make it make sense. We are filled with an overwhelming lust to rewind the intro, urging a replay of the hook, desiring an alternative ending, yet bringing us back to the bridge over troubled waters. The urge to break the album of destiny is thwarted beyond our control, leaving no option for a change of outro. Life was always intended to play out to the very end. We may begin with the chorus, but we exit as a solo.
Waves of time. Daily these sounds I make. Stand trial, judge, and jury keep forcing me to test this moaning. Glorify the dead in the praise dance of pins. You won't know fear until you're reminded the history of our history is littered with lies, hidden mass graves, the homes lining streets and gated communities are built on thousands of shallow homegoings. You would not know terror unless you're Black in America, walking Black by yourself, jogging Black, driving Black through the city, GPS broken, got you Black sightseeing, won't know terrified unless you wear skin shadowed in shades of targets, would not know panic until sirens for no apparent reason scream in your direction, shine colorful lights into your rear view. Recently discovered, water has been hiding the fact it has the ability to hold emotions. Each individual molecule is filled with memories. Maybe water has about 12 million or so questions, an inquiry for each soul lost in the middle. Each body dumped overboard, every one of the brave who decided to end then begin again has to be alarming. Has to be alarming for water truly possess the ability to remember. Carry passions in its depths, raging temper tantrums, chasing captive shores. You ever hear the Atlantic Ocean ask, where my niggas at? Aware for centuries the ocean is formed of tears, its floor is made of fear and bone, but where my niggas at? Sharks getting angry, circling the same path for hundreds of years, still nothing to eat. Where my niggas at? Can't tell me you ain't heard yelling the last time it hurricane. Last time a tornado shook them trees on the corner in your neighborhood. You must know this much hurt can't hide much longer. Where my niggas at? Next time you turn on the faucet, listen. Next bath you take, sit quietly, listen. Next pool you swim in, lake you visit. Next ocean you stand near, listen. It knows your name, recalls the screams of every ancestor, the full number of bodies it received, the weight of each ship, tasted blood spilled from the Black underneath, can connect your lineage to past dwellers, to dust and bone living on its floor. If water has a responsibility to holding emotions, grasping memory in each molecule, since 1851, there's been a total of 306 North Atlantic produced hurricanes. This includes over 19 states. On the side of the Atlantic, at least 120 hurricanes pounding Florida's shores. Got you wondering why the Atlantic Ocean's still emotional, still shedding tears and waves, why its currents been pounding, eroding America's coastline, still angrily sending hurricanes to the eastern shores. If you listen, take a moment and truly listen, you could hear the Atlantic Ocean yelling as loud as water can scream. Where my niggas at?
God created man in his image. Man thinks because he can think. He is self-aware and he fancies his reflection. So man fashions God in his image and makes metaphors and allegories about the story he tells himself about how he is the most civilized. The animals and the trees laugh because man got gassed off making his own language but never tried to learn the language of animals or trees, and man forgets that trees were here long before him and trees will be here long after him. Man cuts down trees to write about God, ignoring that without trees, man can't breathe, and without breath, man doesn't exist. Man chops down nature to preach about the glory of God. God created man in his image. But man doesn't look in the mirror to see his DNA's double helix or the combinations of vibrating gases that creates all matter. Man thinks he matters more than all matter, and that he is God's favorite. And the animals and the trees laugh at the irony of being the last to have a choice of dealing with their narcissistic sibling that God created with the same double helix, because man has eyes, but he doesn't see. And man speaks, but he still hasn't said anything more profound than being present in nature. So the animals and the trees wait for their special needs, brothers and sisters, to realize God is breath and breathing is prayer. And how dare you interrupt church with your sacrilege? How dare you interrupt church with your nonsense about a book you made from cutting down trees that give you breath? How dare you speak of holy? How dare you claim to know God when you haven't even figured out how to love yourselves? Because the trees don't war. and the animals don't genocide. So don't pass me a Bible or a Quran or a Torah, because I've read better scriptures on leaves. Seen wiser wisdom weeping in weeping willows, heard better hymns, harvested, herded herbs, plagiarized better psalms from the palms of periwinkles and poinsettias. Don't tell me about your good news. Because for some reason, destruction, genocide, land theft, rape, pedophilia, slavery always follows it. Don't tell me I need to read my Bible if you haven't taken the time to plant a tree to replace the one you destroyed just to teach me about how narcissistic man can be because you think trees aren't holy. Well, I think Bibles are full of black holes that sucks the brains out of man's logical role of guardian of the garden, and the animals and the trees are tired of you playing pretend that because you are aware, can read and write, that because you can think you are somehow closer to God than them. Go look at any past civilization and see how the animals and the trees cover them eventually. And over time, they win. So maybe they're God's favorite. And man just uses books just to justify being uncivilized.
And here we go. This is, again, a Nemo and Magus original neurodivergent verses. Follies and fallacies, defying analyses, dreams and illusions, powerful delusions, the seeds of destruction, undermine your construction, enter at your own risk, erase the hard disk, leave a message at the tone, then please put down your fucking phone, lather, rinse, repeat, refuse to accept defeat, stop to see the beauty around you, don't let the bastards confound you, believe in yourself, it's the only way, suffer no fools and live for today. I am neurodivergent, I am the Godhead emergent.
Endless emergencies, pointless insurgencies in a state of confusion. It is all a delusion. Why accept the vain seduction when all that comes is soul reduction? The vows they speak are asterisked. Your friends will all be stopped and frisked. These golems made of flesh and bone would like to buy an ice cream cone. Would you like only with the guests replete can you hit the big delete? Someday these ties will no longer bind you. Until that day, let the good leaf unwind you. It's upside down, the acrobats say, illuminated by yesterday. I'm neurodivergent, the garbage phoenix resurgent.
Blindly following, pig-like wallowing, climb out of the sky. Don't be that guy. Put down the shit sandwich. Adopt a new plan which will help us overcome. There's no rule of thumb. Bring peace to all lovers as a UFO hovers and aliens beckon. It's true, I reckon, that love conquers all. Winter, spring, summer, fall, a plan for all seasons with no rhyme or reasons. I'm neurodivergent. My words are urgent.
Like a bird on the wing, learn to dance, learn to sing. It doesn't matter how high you fly. Your body falls down the day you die. Now you're stuck in a ditch. Well, ain't that a bitch? Your comeuppance has come. You cannot say that you're stunned. It's under your covers. Starts with our mothers. The show begins in a second. To the aid, to the stage, I am beckoned. These walls will fall. They'll be having a ball. The goth girls are grieving. These fields aren't Elysian. I'm neurodivergent. Ley lines convergent.
Transphobia's stupid. Arrows from Cupid pierce your heart. Now, where to start? Love knows no gender. Refuse to surrender to the mindless hatred. Is nothing sacred? Feel it in your bones, for that love you Jones try to remember. January to December, all year round, fall into the sound of love made manifest. Trust me, it's the best. My neurodivergent love song is all right. It's never wrong.
Your line has been muted. Your rug has been scooted. Your scandalous art is coming apart. You've been on a bender, now you're stuck to a fender. Feeling raw, being naked, your flaws are paraded. On and on with their baloney. Their heads are full of mascarpone. Some you chop, and some dismember. Burn it all and smell the ember. When the drinks are finally downed, they'll find an old queen newly crowned, thick of neck and slight of wrist, the #1 somnambulist. This neurodivergent love story has come to a close in all its glory.
The poem is done.
And we've rocked to the core.
We hope you've had fun because
there ain't any more.
No more.
I never put this pen down. The barrel never touches the ground. Stays between the corners of my frown, makes home in my mouth. And I birth new dawns with even a simple yawn. There are planets in this tongue. I carry truth in my fingers the way prophets carry the word of God between their ribs. The linen lives in a drought, begging for this ink to quench its thirst. There are no breaks or siestas, no place for poets to rest their achy souls. The scritta demands a story, a masterpiece, to lock away in her bosoms for generations waiting in the uterus of time, to impregnate stumbling minds drunk with curiosity and birth knowledge. The words are always in orbit, rotating around these bones like the pull of the sun, spinning thought for eons at a time. There are planets in this tongue, by which I mean there are new things you have to see, but you can't get there with that vessel covered in old you. Chained to yesterday's psalms and gravity, there are experiences waiting for you should you ever build anew. God let us borrow his gift, as long as we promise to keep the Holy Trinity in the name of the pen, ink, and the parchment. Vow to stay celibate to this writing. Don't mess around with lesser things to betray this ink. Poets were never lucky enough to be gifted rose-colored glasses, rather plagued with X-ray vision. See the truth beneath the Trojan horse. Perjurers hide in their eyes, no souls in their windows. Responsibility doesn't allow me to read neck deep in bliss, basking in ignorance. The duty is mine, page by obligation, to graffiti it between the cracks of brain tissue the blind man carries between his shoulders. It's why the universe resides in our palms. The ink won't take no for an answer, why I'll never put this pen down. I write for 10 minutes and lose 100 pounds. The messages are getting heavier and heavier these days. I never wanted to be a bodybuilder, but here I am carrying all this weight around. Pen feeling like dumbbells lately. Maybe I was born to write. I put these weights on the page and hope someone else can do my heavy lifting. If I don't, I'm afraid my knees will buckle and my back will crumble. Afraid my spine will give out trying to deadlift the alphabet. Some words carry so much weight they should be kept in gyms instead of dictionaries. But no matter how heavy words are, they often fail to build a better person. Some people are too weak to understand definitions. Bench pressing tonnage from my chest feels like I'm curling the weight of the world with my pen. Squatting sentences, struggling, simultaneously straining, stretching myself thin so that I may never become taut from the pressure surrounding me. or stiff with pain trying to contain what I create. The statements only target one muscle, the heart, working hard to push the pen to drop this weight. Everyone knows obesity leads to heart disease, the leading cause of death.